foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And this is an article that I came across. I'm sure brothers and sisters are already aware of this that's going on in Russia. And pretty much, as it says here, Russia enacts lengthy prison sentences for wartime desertion and refusal to serve. Okay, and pretty much, as it says, days after announcing a partial mobilization of national forces amid the ongoing special operation in neighboring Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Saturday enacted significant measures to prevent citizens from fleeing draft notices as he signed into law stiff penalties for desertion. If you're a deserter, if you decide to forsake this call and so-called abandon your country or whatnot, and this is all part of biblical prophecy. Okay, as we're gonna read in the book of Second Ezra, the 16th chapter. All right, it does talk about the draft. Okay, and how there will be a draft, and how a lot of women are gonna lose their husbands. A lot of men are gonna be selected and sent over there. Okay, and they're not gonna make it back. Okay, and that's gonna leave a lot of because guess what? Even the U.S. Army is gonna be mobilized. All right, and sent over there to the east. It tells you that, I believe, in the book of Joel. Okay. Um. So I can just all right. So pretty much, and the scriptures say that's gonna leave a lot of like I said, a lot of homes, a lot of widows, and all of that, and wherever their respective lands are. But as you'll see when we read this article, people are gonna try to flee, and it's gonna be very chaotic because as men are getting drafted, and you don't really have an option. Okay, as men are getting drafted, it's still gonna be violent at home. You're still gonna have second Ezra 15 going on. People breaking in into homes. Okay, and a lot of people are gonna be left defenseless. Children, okay, elderly. So as it goes on, it says Putin specifically introduced mobilization, martial law, and wartime. Now, with martial law, we quite frequently we talk about martial law. When we speak about martial law, we're not referring to just like the entry level martial law, for lack of a better term, right? Where a country may enact martial law for a short period of time, make sure this, that, and that. But no, we're talking about martial law to the highest degree. Okay, we're talking about when they enact it on a level where you actually have, it's like what they depict in Gray State. There, when you watch the concept trailer for the movie Gray State, or in certain other movies, not on the on a basic level, but on an intensified scale. Okay, so you have some people that may say, "Oh, you guys talk about martial law like it's the end of the world," and I've seen martial law before. It's not as bad as you guys are making it seem. Well, there's levels to it. Okay, there's levels to what happens once martial law is declared, and in what what is the state, okay, or the condition of the city or country or location when martial law is declared. All right, and we know that pursuant to prophecy, the state that this place is going to be in when martial law is declared is going to be very, very chaotic, and that's gonna put the intensity level at a very high level. So it says measures into the Russian criminal code for the first time, which also covers long prison terms for voluntary surrender, meaning that you don't want to well, it'll go on to explain in more detail, but as it says, it comes following days of social media videos out of Russia going viral, which show young men pack out airports as well as long queues at border posts at places like Russia-Georgia border. According to the Moscow Post, some of the penalties include a harsh 15 years in prison. So if they you get selected for the draft, and you say, "Nah, I don't want to do this. I'm leaving," and they catch your ass, that's 15 years. Under the law, voluntary surrender is punishable by up to 15 years in prison, but a first-time offender may be exempted from criminal liability if he took measures for his release, returned to his unit or place of service, and did not commit other crimes while in captivity. According to the bill published on the state Duma website, desertion during a period of mobilization or wartime will be punishable by up to 10 years in jail, while conscientious objectors will risk up to 3 years in prison. Penalties are also stipulated for looting during wartime. After the opening months of the Ukraine invasion saw criticism from the West over reports of Russian troops rummaging through stores and residences of occupied areas. And now here's a video. Let's take a look.
Ребята, это вот все. И тут, блядь, мобилизованные. Сейчас, минуту. Все, блядь. Вплоть до, блядь.
Yeah, so basically, as you can see, that's a clip that was taken. Now it goes on to say, last week Putin's order called up some 300,000 reservists, with some reports speculating that the actual figure could be much higher, as much as 1 million, according to some sources, though this remains unconfirmed. Now, yes, you have the much more obvious situation, which is the actual mobilization, but you also have the draft. Now, this isn't, like I said, this is happening in Russia, but it's gonna happen around you as well. Okay, all these things that you see taking place around, because once the U.S. gets involved highly, all right, and these other nations start getting involved, what do you think is gonna happen when the U.S. starts to mobilize troops? And you got a lot of women that, oh, we want the freedom to do whatever anybody else could do. Throw us up into that war. Trust me, you okay? You want to join the military, right? You want to, oh, I'm active, serve, active duty, whatever the case is, right? And most cases you haven't experienced, not everybody, but in most cases you haven't experienced like actual war, or should I say war on the level that you're about to see. Okay? Because see, now people have, cell phones. The guy was just recording a video right there. So imagine you being in the military as a woman, thinking, yeah, you want to be tough and strong and whatnot, and you start seeing these videos of others that are getting deployed overseas and looking at somebody's torso blown off, their head cracked wide open, people legs, blown off, and they screaming and shit. And these short clips that are put up on social media or whatever. What do you think is going to happen? You think people are going to get pumped to get sent overseas to get mowed down? No. and then talks of use of nuclear weapons start becoming more and more like reality, which eventually will be used. People are going to be afraid. They're not going to want to eagerly join. Okay, now in addition to that, then you're going to have those that aren't in there, but like I said, if you get that letter, your name pops up on that draft letter. Now what? Okay, and I'm sure they're also gonna. Countries all have plans for when they need to mobilize. They need more people, like Putin just did, to make sure that your ass gets drafted. All right, and you're not trying to escape this. So there's situations that are gonna be out of your control, and this is why we always push to put your faith and your trust in Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. So it goes on to say, uh, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has meanwhile been encouraging safe passage and protection for Russia soldiers who surrender, according to his words summarized in The Hill. And then, he lets them know, yada, yada. Now, here it says chaos at Sheremetyevo airport in Moscow today as Russian men try to flee the country before Putin closes the borders. Take a look. Look at that. Nobody wants to go to war. I mean, who does, right? So that's what you're seeing going on. People are trying to flee the country. They don't want to get drafted. They don't want to get caught up in they don't want to be there. Okay. It says countries like Finland and the Baltic states have taken measures to essentially lock down their borders to Russian young men suspected of fleeing military service. The Baltic countries have already enacted a de facto blanket travel ban on Russian nationals. Now, keep that in mind, right? While Finland has thus far taken only temporary measures to restrict the flow of Russian travelers. Okay, so now with that being said, okay, let's get this here in the book of Second Esdras. Okay, now I'm gonna jump around in here. This is a precept that we're very familiar with, but Second Esdras chapter 15, which is dealing with prophecy. All right, pretty much it describes the events, the chaos that's going to be happening. Once the society collapses, as we're witnessing, and that's why it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." Okay, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And you're gonna see that on a as they call a race level, on a nationwide level. Okay, now I'm just gonna come down to the point. Oh, actually, it's right here. So verse 16: For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. Which a modern day king is a president. All right, prime minister, president, and princes would be those that are right under them. It says, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. This is dealing with the people, because as we are well approaching, all right, the cost of living is getting crazy. As a matter of fact, in is it London? They were saying that grocery stores are there's one main grocery store that just say, you know what, they're not even gonna call the police for shoplifters anymore because nothing is happening because of that. People because of the cost of living crisis are just taking whatever they can to survive. All right. But as it says here, verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right? For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Now, there's going to be many instances and many different scenarios in which verse 17 is going to be happening, okay? Where you're going to be in one location trying to go into another, and you're not going to be able to, okay? More than likely because of lockdowns and checkpoints. And an example here is these people trying to leave. There are people that are trying to flee from Russia to neighboring lands, but they're like we read, the borders are closed. These areas like Finland and the Baltic states, they've locked down their borders to to not allow these individuals who are trying to flee from military service to come in. All right, and they're desiring to flee because they don't want to be drafted and have to go in there and risk their lives. You got regular people, right, who do their regular jobs, have families, and all that, so they're trying to flee. Okay, but you're also gonna have different use cases where maybe you may work in one state and you live in another state, and then something goes down at work while you're at work and you're trying to get back home, and then the bridge is congested, the bridge is closed, whatever it is, you're trying to go from one place to another, whether to escape from what you're facing in one place or to get to another place, for like an example I just gave, whether it's for moving for safety or whatever the case is. But there's going to be a lot of restriction upon the movements. And an example is when you watch some of these post-apocalyptic movies, you'll see how on a highway there will be, everybody's trying to leave the city or wherever, and so the highways become packed, and all you hear is honking. And then, the main character gets out of the car, the cameraman follows him, and as he's walking to the front, he sees that there's a checkpoint. There's like a block, with military trucks and tanks, and you got military troops over there saying stand back with their guns pointed, their lasers and all of that. Okay, another example. Okay, moving on, right, dealing with the draft. This is Second Ezra chapter 16. And as a matter of fact, this is why the scriptures say, I'm going to read this in Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Okay, that's why it says woe. Why? For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So when you have to move quickly to get something done, you're not moving as delicately. You may move with more more rigor or more speed and more aggression or whatever to get whatever you need done. Think about it, somebody who goes to rob a bank. They go in there, and they always, yell to try and cause that sense of urgency to get whatever they need to get done quickly. But say they hear an alarm go off, and now they know that the police are already on their way. You see how they behave? They start moving with more nervousness, wrath. They start shooting up into the air. Now they're more likely to actually shoot the teller if they're not moving fast enough. Why? Because they know that their time is short, so they have to get whatever it is they have to get done one way or another. So that's what this devil is doing. Basically, his time is running short, so now he's not moving slow and delicate. No, he's moving however he needs to move to get what he needs to get done. So 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 32, it says, and the earth shall be, matter of fact, 31, it says, even so in those days there shall be left 3 or 4, or there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. And the earth shall be laid waste. And yeah, because you're going to have troops and other people going searching door to door. You're going to have door to door searches. As you read on down from the 68th verse in this chapter on down, it tells you that they shall cast them out of their houses. Verse 32, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel therethrough. So you're going to have certain buildings that are going to have, like abandoned buildings, trees and vines and all these things growing through them, because so few people have come by to cultivate the land and all of that. So everything is just going back to a nature takeover. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. Why are they not going to have bridegrooms? The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars, in the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Okay, so in the wars, their bridegrooms are going to be destroyed. How? Because they're going to be drafted. Okay, in this time, there's a war, you get drafted, and a lot of people are going to get drafted. They're going to leave their wives, their families behind, because they're not really going to have an option. And when they go, they're not coming back. Okay. Now, if you're of the elect, wherever you go, if the Lord has it to where you get drafted or whatever, wherever you go, you'll be protected. Okay. But for the majority of the rest of people, that's not going to be the case for them, and this is going to leave a lot of women here, uh, husbandless. Okay, brideless, bridegroomless. Okay, and pretty much by themselves to fend for themselves. And as we read in 2nd Ezra 15, the things that are going to be taking place, this is why it's going to be so crucial in Isaiah 13 and 12. A man of the Lord is going to be made more precious than fine gold. Okay, because it's going to get very bad out here, and a lot of people are going to lose their so-called protectors, their protectors and providers. And then we're really going to see, okay, well, you always said you could provide for yourself and protect yourself. Well, let's see if that's really true or not. Okay, but we're going to put our faith and our trust in our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, but yeah, that was pretty much it on that. Okay, so as these things intensify and escalate, the draft is a part of it. Okay, and people are going to get drafted and they're not going to come back. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.